Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to go over how to tape a car for a dust-free finish, how I tape it anyway. I want to give a quick shout out to everybody who's watched so far. I really appreciate it, and it's been more than I expected. So we'll get into this because I'm speeding it up some. I blow everything off, the whole vehicle, to get it as dust-free as possible. All the nooks and crannies, and then I wipe it down with water-based cleaner, and then I'm going to go over it with a solvent-based cleaner too, just to get any tar or anything that got stuck on there that you want to get off before you start taping on it. That's going to be hidden. The water is going to get all the fingerprints off and any of the junk like that, and then the solvent's going to take any tar off, any grease, get inside the edges too, inside the hood, and any place that you're going to be taping, you want that tape to stick really well. So we're just going to finish up here, and then this is the tape I use. It's Q1. I get a little carried away with the tape, so 3M gets to be a little expensive, and Q1's a cheaper tape. But it's really good, and I don't really have a problem with it. It's thinner, but it bends real easy, and like I said, I don't mind it at all. It's real sticky. I back tape as much as possible so there's no gaps. You know, you can use aperture tape, but I mean, that stuff is expensive, and this works just as well. I back tape in here. I kind of outline everything first. Everything I can outline, I'll outline with tape and get it. You know, you got to make sure you wipe the insides of whatever you're going to be taping on first, because a lot of times it's loaded with dust and road grime or whatever, leaves. Wipe it down really good so you can get good adhesion with the tape. And then I outline it. This is 1.5 inch tape that I outline it with. I'll go around the whole thing. After I do this, like say you're doing a door or like this hood, I always pull that tape back a little bit, because you don't want it right up to the edge of the fender, because when you clear it, it's going to gather on that edge and you're going to get a really hard clear edge there. So push that tape back a little bit so there's a little gap in there. And then after that, I take 3/4 inch tape and I go along the edge of the 1.5 inch tape to tack it onto the hood or anything that you're back taping on. So I just pull it back a little bit and then stick it to the hood just so it holds that little gap back. Because like I said, you want that clear to go in a little bit, or any paint, whatever it is. You don't want it tight against the fender. And then I'll run tape over that once I'm done with the 3/4 inch. I'll run 1.5 inch along there just to smooth it out. Like I said, I'm a stickler for creases and anything like that. I hate dust. I hate buffing. I think I mentioned that before. I'll probably say it 10 more times. But I hate buffing. So I'll do anything that I can control to eliminate or keep the dust down to a minimum. I'm back taping on this fender now. And then I have to do this rocker too. There was a dent on the rocker that I didn't realize until after that had to be fixed. And that's got rock guard on it. And there's a rock guard line in the jamb. And I'm going to stay above that rock guard line about 1/2 inch. And I'll show you why after. For all you guys watching, stick around till the end, because I'm going to let you know what I'm going to do at the end of all my videos. I'm going to leave some information out there that will hopefully be useful to everybody in the future. I plan on doing a bunch of videos, so I'll leave that info out there. All right, on this rocker here, I am going about 1/2 inch above the rock guard line. We're going to cut this paint off on the rock guard line to hide the line, and we can make that line smoother just by doing what I'm going to do here. And then on the inside of this fender, there's a seam sealer line. It's like a tape seam sealer. So I'm taping on this line here on the seam sealer about maybe a 1/2 inch back on that too. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do on there for a soft line too. We'll roll some plastic on here. Like I said, I'll do anything I can to keep dust off. I always wash the floor down before every job. When I'm ready to paint, I'll actually take the air blower and I'll blow the floor toward the fan of the booth just to get any dust that's on the floor. I pull it tight. I pull the plastic tight in the center. I line it up so the plastic's centered. I tack it to like the trailer hitch in the back, and then I'll go to the air dam or something underneath the front so this plastic is pulled tight. And then I'll outline where I need to tape here, but I'll leave it a little bit bigger. So, I mean, it's always better to have it a little bit bigger. You can always fold it in, but if you cut it too short, then you're kind of screwed and you got to put paper on there. But I fold it up until I can pull the plastic tight, and then I'll tack it in a couple spots, and then I'll run tape on there. I want to get that as tight as possible. The tighter it is, the less creases you're going to get. Because when you're spraying base coat and stuff, if there's any creases, anything like that, that the base coat can stick into, you usually spray your base coat a lower pressure. So if it sticks into a crease or something, and then you crank your pressure up for your clear, and then you go over that same crease, it can very easily blow out of there and contaminate the paint, you know. So we want to, like I said, you want to eliminate everything that you can control. There's always going to be instances where something happens, but I mean, if you can take a lot of the chances of something happening out just from simple things, then why not do it, right? All right, we tacked it onto the fender here. We're gonna pull it tight, tack it, and then I'll run a strip on there, and then we'll go over to the back door here. We'll pull it tight, and I'll tack it in the front and the back, and then we can you know, in a spot like this in the center there of the doors and that pillar, it's always hard to get it completely tight. But I mean, we can eliminate most of it. I hate when you're spraying and the plastic is flapping. It's just, I keep thinking when I'm spraying that there's dust coming off of that. We'll tack it around. And right here, I'm just pulling it tight. Just trying to get the lines out of there. If there's a big seam or something, I'll put a piece of tape on that seam. I'll put a piece on the hinges there too, where that plastic is pulling tight, just so the plastic doesn't tear. If there's any sharp spots like in the front bumper or anywhere where that plastic is pulled really tight, I'll put a piece of tape over it just so that plastic doesn't tear and you get a hole in there, because then you're going to get overspray everywhere. You're just folding it back, tacking it onto the 1.5 inches that we outlined with, and then I'll put a piece of tape over it to lock it on there. I'm just filling up a couple gaps here where I think dust is going to gather, and then we'll just finish outlining it. We'll go around after and just check it all out and see what we can clean up on it. Now this isn't going to cover the whole tire the way I cut it, so I'm just going to get it as much as I can. We'll get the bottom part covered, and then I'll take a piece of paper and we'll do that, and then we'll do that. We'll put a piece of paper on the bottom of the rocker there too, to cover up that running board. Same thing on the back of the cab corner. I back taped it there. I'll take a piece of paper and we'll take care of that too. Right now I'm running this paper on the tape that I ran as an outline, not over it. I still have about a 1/2 inch gap there that I'll finish taking care of after. But I'm just gonna tack it in place, get it as straight and as smooth as possible. Because like I said, especially like in corners like that, that's where you're gonna get a lot of creases and spots for the base coat to... A base coat's the main thing, you know, or sealing it even. You know, sealer's terrible for leaving overspray and blowing out. And I do have to seal a couple spots on this, a couple bare metal spots, so we'll just try to eliminate any creases. I know everybody has their own way of taping, and you may not like this, but this has worked for me. I'm pretty picky, so if I find something that works, or if something doesn't work, I'll find a way until it does work, until I find something that really works for me. Just going around the sides now. I'm going to pull the plastic tight and tack it onto the other side of the truck, front and back. We don't want it blown around. I just ball it up, pull it tight, wrap a little tape around it, and then I'll stick it to like the fender or the back of the wheel, somewhere, just so it pulls tight. I'm in the back now, doing it by the rear bumper. And then I'll tack like on the door too on each side. I'll probably just put a piece on each of the driver's side door just to pull that plastic tight and hold it in place. There, I took a piece of tape and I just put it on the plastic and pulled it, kind of stretched it a little bit, just to get any excess out of there. Just touching up a couple little spots. Always double checking. You're always looking as you're doing this. Doing this kind of work, you gotta pay attention to the fine details. That's what makes this job between a good job and a great job, or even a bad job. You gotta pay attention to the details. And the older I get, the more I realize that. I back tape that cab corner, and then I just put a piece of paper on there to lock it in so there's no overspray that's gonna go between the cab. And then we'll just tack it in place, get any creases out of there. And then I'm gonna put one more piece of paper there because the bottom of that box side is showing, and now you can see that I got it on there. I tacked it to the back of the wheel. And there's a line on the rock guard that I'm going on the back side here where it ends. And I'm staying away from it about a 1/2 inch. Like I said, we're just gonna stay 1/2 inch away from everything. From where we want the paint edge, I'm staying a 1/2 inch away from everything when I'm outlining it here. We'll make this nice and tight so it's not blowing. It doesn't take long. I mean, what's the difference to taking 5-10 extra minutes and using a little bit extra tape to having to wet sand and buff and nib stuff? I mean, you still may have to a little bit, but this really helps a lot. We'll just finish up here. Not much left to do. Okay, I'm going to show you what I do here. I folded that tape back. I'm just using a different color on here to show you guys. I run it right along the line now of where I want the paint to end. This is the rock guard line. And I'm right up to the edge of the rock guard. And then that flap on there is easy for me to grab after it's all painted. So I'm going to outline everything that I stayed a 1/2 inch away from. So now this is going to go right up to where I want my paint line. And I'm going to do that wherever I can. And I'm going to go right up to this rock guard line underneath here too. And I'll leave that, I'll fold that tape over so I can get a grip on it after, so it's not stuck onto the paper. You just want a little tab. And then after I'm done painting and clearing, I will grab this and pull this green tape off so that line isn't super hard. Because if you pull it off when it's not completely hard, then you'll get a softer line. You don't want a hard line. You know, people will notice that easy. See here, I'm going along the seam sealer, just right along the edge there. We'll leave a flap there. I can pull that all off. We'll have a nice soft line after. I'm just taking care of a couple creases here. See, so it flaps there. Just put a piece of tape on there. Tighten it up a little bit. At the end of all of my videos now, I am going to let you guys know what guns I use for sealer, base coat, clear. I'll let you know the air pressures that I'm using. I will let you know the fluid, the fan, and air cap that I'm using on every paint job. At the end of every video, I'll let you guys know for that job exactly what I did. I'm also going to be doing a little explanation on solvent pop and maybe dieback. Pretty soon here I'll get that video out. I'm open to suggestions. Anything anybody wants to know, hit me up. I really appreciate everybody, you know, checking these out. On the back of this fender here, just push it back a little bit because you don't want that hard line. You want it back a little bit. And see, this is right along the edge of the rock guard. So I can pull that right off after I'm all done. And that line will pretty much disappear. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate everybody. And I will catch you next time. Thanks.